courtesy to everyone here tonight, please make sure that all cell phones are turned off. Please note that tonight's Planning Commission meeting will be rebroadcast via CityLink and posted on www.minnehahacounty.org for viewing by the general public. Any final action taken on the conditional use permit applications tonight will take effect 5 working days following this meeting unless a written appeal of the Planning Commission's decision is filed in the Planning Office by Tuesday, September 3rd at 5 p.m. In the event of an appeal, the decision will be referred to the County Commission for a hearing on Tuesday, September 17th, 2019 at or after 9 a.m. The affected parties will be notified of the meeting date, and meetings of the County Commission are held in this same room. First on the agenda is public input. Is there anyone here tonight who wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? At this time, the Planning Commission will consider the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are perceived to be non-controversial and meet all of the requirements of the codes and regulations. The consent agenda will be acted on in one motion with no public hearing on the items unless a member of the public, the commission, or staff requests the item be removed from the consent agenda. The minutes from the July 22nd, 2019 meeting are included in the consent agenda. Does any Planning Commission member wish to have any item removed for discussion? Next, I will read each item on the consent agenda and ask if there are any issues or comments from the staff or the audience. If any member of the staff or the audience would like to be heard on any item, please raise your hand and the item will be moved to the regular agenda to allow you to address the Commission later in the meeting. Any items remaining on the consent agenda will be approved by the Planning Commission with the conditions recommended by staff. Okay, the first item is the approval of the minutes of the July 22nd, 2019 meeting. Item number 2 is conditional use permit 19-34 to transfer 3 building eligibilities from the northeast quarter, southeast quarter, and southwest quarter of the northwest quarter to the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter, all in Section 2, Township 102 North, Range 51 West. Petitioner is Darwin Sletton. He is also the owner. It's located approximately 2.5 miles northeast of Hartford. Item number 3 is conditional use permit 19-35 to transfer 2 building eligibilities from southwest quarter, northwest quarter, and southeast quarter, northwest quarter, Section 13, Township 104 North, Range 49 West, to the northeast quarter, the northwest quarter, Section 13, Township 104 North, Range 49 West, and northeast quarter, Section 14, Township 104 North, Range 49 West. Petitioner is Marcia Simonsma. She's also the owner. Location is 47749 246th Street. That is located 2 miles east of Del Rapids. Okay, since there's no public input, nothing from the staff, nothing from the... I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Those items that have been approved, you are free to go. Move on to the regular agenda. Item number 4. Kevin, you want to address this item?
Yes. Kevin Hookman, County Planning Department. Item number 4 is conditional use permit number 1927 to allow salvage repair, collision repair with spraying paint, automotive repair, and used car sales on the property legally described as lots 8 and 9 Haugs Edition in the south half of the southeast quarter, Section 12, Township 102 North, Range 50 West. The petitioner is Vitaly Silchuk, and it's located at 47184 Wild Clover Circle, as seen in this map. This item is a continued item from the June 24th Planning Commission meeting. There was public comment and concerns over the item, including concerns over excess cars and junk, as well as concerns over oil that was spilled over the winter and was at that time not entirely cleaned up. Since that time, staff has visited a site, and I'll show you site pictures in a moment. And I've worked with the petitioner. The petitioner has given evidence that the site is cleaned up through engineering checks of the property. The petitioner has stated that he has removed 42 cars from the property for scrap metal, and there are still vehicles there, and some of those will be moved, but some of them will be staying there as part of his operation as with the cars. With all the cleanup, staff finds that the petitioner has shown the ability to work with the request of the Planning Commission, and by completing the oil spill cleanup and by completing clearing, especially the highly visible areas required by the permit on the east side of the property. Staff will continue to recommend approval of the requested conditional use permit, and the staff report from that point on has remained largely the same. Just a little bit of review of the site plan. The petitioner is also requesting that eventually this will become an expanded lot with the new building with different uses. And then that'd be the new building, and that would be occupied, and if it's a use that requires a conditional use permit, that'll be before you in the future. And then I have some pictures from kind of before in June and then in August as well. So there's June photos of the site, a June photo, and then this is the August photo here with the June one in the corner. Looks like a driveway was built to the back of the building there. You can see some of the difference of some cars have been removed. That's the June photo. And this would be the highly visible area that you can see the interstate in the background of this photo. He has cleaned that up substantially from where it was in the June photo there with a few cars and tires and other things. And then here's where the oil cleanup took place. There's some riprap there in kind of a waterway on the neighbor's property. And then this is a waterway in the ditch. The ditch has not been planted with grass yet, but the petitioner said that he is working with a landscape company to reseed it in the fall here when it's better seeding climate. And then this would be a little photo of the conditions number 5 and number 9. As those conditions require a hard surface driveway to be placed between the road and what's currently hard surfaced on the main portion of the parking area, and then that there should be no storage behind the east building in that triangled area there. So with that, I will take any questions, and the petitioner is here, and we'll move forward. Is there any questions?
I have one. All the conditions that are here tonight were on the previous month?
Correct.
Exactly? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, Kevin? Not at this time. Is the petitioner here? Will you please come forward and state your name and address, please?
My name is Vitaly Silchuk, and the address is 47184 Wild Clover Circle. So a couple months ago, we were here and trying to get permission to use the property for more auto repair and rebuilding. We do repairables and things like that. So, and to put a building there also. And we had a lot of stuff going on there because with the oil spill and with the complaints about all the cars and stuff that we had out there. We've cleaned up a lot more, and even that picture isn't even current, you know, with what you guys saw. So probably removed even more than 42 cars now to scrap, and cleaned up a lot of the area. The oil thing got all cleaned up, and Houston Engineering, we worked with Brad, and they did all the tests, and the state and all the people are happy with all the results of that. We got grass to sow, and mid-September is when we're looking to do that. It's gonna be the best thing. That's what the landscape guys say. Yeah, I don't know. I hope that everything works out this time, and we can be able to use that land and the buildings properly for business and for our growth. So.
Any questions for the petitioner? I have one.
Yeah.
Don't you have a location here in Sioux Falls?
Yeah.
Was that off of Rice Street?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. Also, I'm gonna add that with the whole oil thing, so there's no more oil storage there at all. You know, we had, just to remind you guys from last time, we had a propane tank full of used oil because we have a oil burner on Rice Street. And when we started the business, you know, we didn't have as much customer base and things like that, so we would literally collect used oil from whoever we could find, so we can burn it in the winter. But now with you know, the way we do business, now we have enough oil changes and regular oil work on Rice Street where we don't have to, you know, bring oil anymore, find oil or store oil or whatever to use for the winter time. So there's no reason for us to store fluids or oil out there anymore unless we have a oil burner or something out there at some time. But right now that's not the case. So.
Okay. Any other questions? We may call you back.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone from the audience care to speak to this item? Either opponents or proponents? Please step forward. State your name and address, please.
My name is Gary Schwartz, and I'm at 47188 Wild Clover Circle, just to the right of the property in question. They have cleaned a lot of cars off the site, which I appreciate very much, although there are still tires stacking up as of today. They have also been bringing in cars for repair through this last couple months without any permit. I'm concerned about the car sales out in front, what that's going to do to the traffic on Wild Clover Circle. There's going to be a lot of activity. The cars that they are producing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, are not high quality, so their clientele is not going to be considerate of other areas out there. And also I'm concerned about traffic coming out there over the weekends for safety of the other businesses in the area. I'm for businesses growing and promoting themselves. I just want it done right. I'm concerned about all the gravel area as they build their business inside, how they're going to control oil leaking from all these salvaged cars that are going to be dropped in there, stored, and my guess they're going to be salvaged. Some are going to be taken apart and making another car, and there's going to be junk in the future again. So, you know, how are we going to control that? I want them to do a business, but at the same point in time, I want it to be a professional business, not just a chop shop. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to address this item? Please state your name and address, please.
Kevin Wilson. I'm co-owner of the business across the street to the south at 47187 Wild Clover. I a little bit of a car nut, and I have been in many salvage yards around the area. Nordstrom's and Oak Leaf Salvage are the ones that are local, and they're kind of isolated to themselves. They have no neighbors, I think, for a reason. I called Nordstrom's Auto Body Recycling after that last meeting, and what they do with the car when they get it in, they remove all the fluids, every one of them. They recycle all of that stuff, remove the gas, remove the tires, the rims are still on there, and they put that thing out there so people can take parts off it and not worry about leakage of antifreeze, leakage of oils, whatever it might be, to contaminate the system. So I think with having vehicles out there, and last time the gentleman said he was going to not touch them, I think that's the wrong approach. I think you need to recycle what you can. If you have vehicles out there for 20 years and they're leaking and they're contaminating the soil for 20 years, I don't think that's the right approach. I'm a little bit of a recycle Nazi, and I think you got to take care of stuff. And I don't think, if that's his plan, I think that's a faulty plan. I think you got to get those fluids out, get the tires out and such. And like I said, I think there's a reason why those salvage yards are off, Highway 40, I guess it's Garrettson and, Oak Leaf Salvage is off the highway too. There's not a lot of businesses around them. I'm just concerned that you're gonna be able to see a bunch of cars over the course of a year, over the years where they start stacking them up. They're no longer viable, and you're gonna look on interstate and see some businesses that have kept their stuff clean, and like Gary, I'm concerned what's gonna happen in 2 years. What kind of power does the commission have in 2 years if this turns into be a mess? That's my concern. Thanks.
Anyone else care to address this item?
I'm James Miron, 25731 Cottonwood Avenue in Sioux Falls. I operate a collision repair facility just north of this. I went back, I was at the last meeting here on the 24th of June and just kind of listened in. And one of the things I see in the conditional use permit, I went back and pulled mine from 2007. And one of the things that was in mine that isn't in this one is I had to put in a dry chemical fire suppression system for my painting area. And I don't know why it's not in this. They say they're gonna do kind of the same type of repair. So I kind of wanted an answer of why that was not stated in that.
Okay, we'll address it with some of our staff to see why
Fine.
there is the difference. I
Yep.
actually don't know myself.
I know rural water doesn't support a water system up there. They don't have the water capacity, and that's why I had to put in a dry suppression system. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Kevin, can you address that? Do you you understand what that is?
Excuse me, sorry. So in order to get a paint booth, the paint booths are required to get a DENR permit from the state of South Dakota. And I guess I am not aware of any sort of building codes, which maybe previous planners who did that permit in 2007 was aware of some sort of a building code that required fire suppression. If he does put in if there's a building code that requires fire suppression, our building inspector has been requiring whatever needs to be met by the International Building Code. and he would be able to cover that at the engineering phase of the project. I guess that's what I have, because I wasn't aware of any need for a fire suppression.
You can always add it in if you like.
Okay. Guess we'll take it under consideration, depending upon what the commission decides. Anyone else care to address this item from the audience? Please come forward, state your name and address, please.
My name is Tracy Hagan. I own the property directly across the street from him. It's 47185 Wild Clover Circle. I have the same concerns everybody else does. What do we do if things become a mess again? How is a used car lot gonna work out there? I have concerns about what it's gonna look like. And it also really doesn't look still that great from the interstate. It's still kind of a mess, a salvage yard, and I totally agree with them. There's a reason the other salvage yards are by themselves, and you don't have your neighbors having to look at it all the time, and your clientele that are coming to your businesses also.
Thank you. Anyone else? Petitioner, would you like to come forward again? Can you address any of these items that they have concerns with?
Okay, I want to clear up the salvage yard thing. We do not want to have a salvage yard, and we don't intend on having a salvage yard. I think maybe the description thing is confusing or something like that. I think what we want to do was collision repair and automotive repair and used car sales out of that place. Now, we do rebuilders, so we buy wrecked cars and fix them, but we're not looking to, a salvage yard is, they take on anything and everything, and it doesn't matter if you can fix it or not, and they sell parts, that's how they make money off of the stuff, or recycle the parts. So we're not looking to recycle anything or to, or sell parts out of that place or buy cars just for that. All the vehicles are meant to be repaired and are restored and sold or whatever. So we're not looking to do a salvage yard. Like Nordstrom's or Oakleaf, for example.
Commissioners, do you have any other questions for him?
Madam Chair, I got one.
Doug?
So do you, before any automobile is brought out to your property, you go inspect that to say, okay, that one we'll use, this one over here, no, we're not gonna accept that? Or how do you, what, is there a fine line between salvageable and junk?
So we do the same thing on Rice Street. So we have the same cars are out on Rice Street, standing out just out in front. They have some sort of collision obviously in them. Usually there's no oil leaking out of them, there's engines and stuff like that, or the cars run and drive. So anything that can be repaired, anything that, is out at any other body shop that's repairable is kind of what we're trying to fix and work on. Our previous, the cars that we had out there before, which we've talked about already, they weren't meant to be repaired or anything like that. They were accumulated through all sorts of weird ways where people have left cars and abandoned their cars and all sorts of different stuff like that with us in our shop. So we don't have any more. We don't have intentions of doing any of that. Just to have vehicles there that we have brought vehicles. We buy vehicles every week on the auction. So we've brought vehicles there that are going to get repaired and resold. So.
Any other questions for him?
Also, I want to add about the paint booth thing. So that's something in the future, where that building that we might build or would like to build, that would be something that would be worked out there, and whatever obviously needs to happen would be had to be done, whatever that costs or whatever that has to be to legally be able to paint vehicles there. So,
Scott, that's a separate issue, though, if he decides to build a building, isn't that?
Well, it's a separate issue. However, I'm unsure whether that's a requirement of the building code. So I think if you really, I think just to cover all our bases, if you feel that's necessary, you should just add the condition. And if there's a redundancy, nothing's harmed. I mean, if it's a requirement of the state law, he has to meet it anyway. If it's not, and that's your wishes, then he will have to put in the dry chemical suppression system if he does a paint booth.
Any other questions? Thank you. Anyone else in the audience care to address us?
Being in the construction industry, I do a lot of commercial work, and I know there'll be codes that to build a proposed building, there'll be major codes that they gotta abide by, and one of them will be sprinkling. But the other concern I will still have is they're still bringing in salvage cars that they're gonna repair, and they're still sitting on the gravel, and they cannot, say that, well, they're not leaking oil. So now that oil is still leaking on all that gravel. There's no containment of the oil, and it can still run downhill, which is to the east. The biggest thing, again, I'm going to say is putting out the resale of cars out on front on Wild Clover Circle. Now, this is not a high traffic area. So who's going to be coming out there? I have no idea. I've been by the place on Rice Street, and that is full of cars. Here, again, it's the businesses that are out here are businesses that it's a quiet place. They come in, their business vehicles come and go out of there. But all of a sudden now we've got resale of cars. All the other businesses, I think, are going to be struck by that, where what the clientele. It's not on 41st Street. It's on Wild Clover Circle out in the county. So, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Guess I'll close the floor. Commissioners? Comments?
So,
Becky?
Madam Chair, I think I'm concerned. We still have a lot of cars that seem to be being brought in. Maybe we don't have a building yet, or we don't have an application for a building, and I realize that this step probably has to get approved before we can go forward with the building. But I'm concerned about the accumulation of cars out there, and I don't know, I'm just concerned about the whole thing.
I guess I'd like to agree with what Becky had to say. That's what I've been thinking about all day, I guess, is the accumulation of cars over the last few years. And if you're gonna salvage them, I guess how come they haven't been salvaged yet, I guess. And that's what concerns me about getting other cars and just sitting out there wasting away. So I guess that's kind of my concern too.
Anyone else have a comment?
Madam Chair, yes.
Mike?
I definitely agree with the concern about the accumulation of cars, and I understand that there are circumstances that may occur periodically that do lend themselves to accumulate stuff or things or whatever term you want to use. I also look at this and I think to myself about some of the concerns I've heard here as well with the additional traffic on that circle with the on-site car sales. And I guess, you know, if we're looking at, it's not like you have little kids out there, it is a commercial space, but I don't feel that it's in Congress with, I guess, the type of businesses that are out there currently.
Okay, any other commissioners have a comment? I'll entertain any kind of motion.
Madam Chair, a question for Kevin.
Becky, sure.
So Kevin, on those first before and after pictures, I wasn't able to see if there a discernible difference, but from your perspective as staff, you felt like there was significant improvement? Or could I see those, could I ask him to show those pictures again? Slowly for my old mind.
Right, so here's the one. You can see the added road. I don't know if you can quite tell. I wish I could zoom in a little bit better. On the left picture, there's some cars that are crushed on the left of the old picture, and some of those cars have been missing out of the crushed car area. Again, here there's some gaps. But as you can see, there are lots of cars there. Then that's an old picture. I don't have a like picture for that. And then this would be the area of the most cleanup here, that there wasn't anything there noticeable at the time that I visited the site. If there is concern about number of cars, I guess there's other things they could consider, like putting a limit of number of cars you could have on the site. Something like that would make it enforceable for us in the future to say, okay, if you have 101 cars and you're only allowed 100, that would be something enforceable for the future of the salvage yard. So he's not just accumulating cars or something like that, I guess, would be an idea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Kevin.
Yep.
Any other comments?
Madam Chair, in
Becky?
spite of my concerns, I mean, I sure like to promote business growth, and I guess I'm trying to figure out if there's a way we can to do this that would we would all maybe feel more comfortable with, that would satisfy concerns of some of the neighbors, but also acknowledge, I mean, he's made, when I look at the pictures again, he has made some significant progress. I guess the question is if the progress is enough.
Any other comments?
Were you thinking of a car limit, Becky?
I have no idea what that property would reasonably hold.
Could we ask the petitioner to come back up? Or no?
I can.
Could you?
Petitioner, will you please come forward again? They have some questions for you.
Madam Chair?
Doug?
On your lot in Sioux Falls, is it Modal Solutions?
Yeah.
Approximately what on the average number of cars you have on that site at one time?
Well, we have a small car lot next to our garage there, so there could be 10, 15 cars for sale, you know.
Okay.
Probably less than, like 10 right now there for sale. And then right next to our garage there, we have a small area where we're, you know, have vehicles that we're repairing and I can count them probably visually. Maybe 12 cars, you know, that we're working on that are there.
Would
Also,
it be safe to say somewhere 30 to 40?
yeah. Also, I want to comment on the pictures, so the pictures aren't great. If we go to, I don't know, if you guys want to move a couple pictures back or forward, I mean, so that's how it was. So we don't have a great view of that right now, but that's all cleaned out right now. You see those cars over there is that way, and there's just like all piled up over there. So those are all gone. The scrap guy picked all those up after the pictures were taken. So we probably moved another 8 cars, you know, after Kevin was there taking pictures. You know, so right now there's, I mean, I got right now all my cars are lined up on the fence. Okay, right up on the fence line to where Wild Clover is, and then I have out there 1, 2. I have my truck and a trailer, 3 or 4 cars, you know, up there where you can visually see from the interstate. You know what I mean? And the concern about the visibility of the interstate and things like that. Eventually, when we put a building up there, that's obviously, you know, that's all you're going to see from the interstate, then, which is a building. So, again, I don't like salvage yard because we're not doing a salvage yard. I don't like that we're using that word. It's not a salvage yard. And the cars that come and they go, they get fixed and they go. Right now, because we're really limited in space on Rice Street, so that's why the cars are out there right now. So, you know what I mean? So hopefully what the goal is so that we can have a better place to work and get them out quicker and out back to Rice Street for now to sell, you know. We don't have the you know, the employees and things like that to keep somebody out there selling cars or anything like that, you know. We're just small.
So I've heard, you know, clientele brought up a couple times.
Yeah.
You know, what would you venture that you would have clientele coming out, or would they still pretty much go to the Motor Solutions site?
No, more than likely right now. First of all, I was insulted by some of the clientele comments. I mean, I think our clients are great. You know, they're not redhead and curly, but they're good people, you know what I mean? And they're looking for a good deal on a car, and I think our quality of vehicles are good or greater than what you're going to buy in a used car lot. But that's, you know, we'll talk about that later. But what we want to do is we want to fix our cars out there. We want to fix the body, the collision, things like that. Get the cars out there ready, so then we can bring them in town to sell them. You know, that's mainly the goal. I mean, eventually, hopefully, maybe one day, I don't know how, maybe we will sell cars out there. You know, put cars out for sale there, but it doesn't make any sense. I mean, nobody's driving by Wild Clover looking for cars, used car sales. You know what I mean? So that's not even something that we have to have. That's not a big deal at all, you know, about traffic, people driving by there or whatever. It's not realistic for us right now, you know. We're selling cars on East Rice Street. That's where we want to probably continue selling cars, you know. We don't have to sell cars on Wild Clover, you know.
Madam Chair, question for you.
Yeah.
Hearing what you know, the comments you make, and maybe hearing what these guys are saying as well, to make this more palatable for everybody. I know ideally we just, you know, address all the future uses now, but you know, the point one was to allow for automotive sales on site.
Right.
It was something that was removed to, you know, allow this to move forward. Is that something you'd be?
Yeah, we can remove that. I mean, that's not a killer for us. I mean, we really want to fix cars out there. That's the big thing, you know. We want to fix our cars out there.
Madam Chair.
Vicki?
How many cars would you potentially think would be the number that you would,
Have out there?
yeah, have out there? And I know once you would have the building constructed, you're.
I think the cars are going to be moving and things like that. So, I mean, maybe 40, I don't know, you know, maybe 50, I don't know.
Thank you.
Any other questions with the petitioner? Thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments?
I think Mike had a good idea about striking the first part of number 1, to remove the use of automotive sales. We already have conditions in there related to fluids and the guidelines that would need to be followed according to the DENR. If there's a concern about the chemical, about the lack of fire retardants in the area, we could certainly add, I would move that we would put in a condition that would be, how did I phrase this here? Add a condition that there will be a dry chemical fire suppression system within the painting area.
Becky, are you making that as a motion?
And as an amendment to this list. So I guess that's a yes.
Okay. Commissioners, did you hear that? Adding conditions about for the painting facility, and to strike the use of automobile sales, that's number 1 on the conditions on the property. She has made that as a motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
I guess, Madam Chair, I would like
Yeah.
to add on there a maximum number of cars, I guess, on there. I would like to make sure they keep moving them and they're not sitting there. I don't know, 30 cars sound all right, I guess, I guess no more than 30 cars out there at a time.
So that'd be like an additional condition in number
Yeah, I'd like to make
15?
that- Yeah,
Okay.
that's on there, right?
And what was your number?
I said 30, no more than 30 cars.
Petitioner?
I'd like to see them just keep moving, I guess. I mean, if you get, I mean, there's no sense having more than you can handle. You should be able to just move through them and move on to the next one, I guess, is my point.
The thing about 30 is, if he's a good steward, and
Yeah.
30 works out, and you can always come back later and amend it if, you can show us that you can handle 30.
I guess I would feel more comfortable with that than,
And can you call it vehicles, because you can see there's more than just cars there.
okay. Okay, vehicles, okay.
And not just limiting.
Does that include, is there a camper or anything out there, or is that gone? Wasn't there a camper or something there?
Yeah.
Is that gone, or,
I guess I don't recall seeing it there, but.
okay,
it's still on site.
so,
Okay, any further discussion? Any additional conditions?
So do you make excuse me,
Go ahead.
substitute motion, or? We need a motion from somebody to
Oh, okay.
approve in a second, and then a vote.
okay, I'll make a
You can make the motion to approve with the conditions that you have just stated, if you could put those out there.
That's what you want me to-
We got three
To
of them.
add these conditions, but
Okay.
you made a motion to approve the conditional use permit with those amendments. So if you could, the previous motion that you had, if you could just withdraw that motion and formally go forward with a motion to approve the conditional use permit and state the additional conditions that you have on the record. Does that make sense?
Okay,
I withdraw my motion.
And I got, you withdraw my motion then too, or, can I just, I need to withdraw mine then?
Yes.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion then too.
okay.
So, Madam Chair,
Becky?
I move that we approve this conditional use permit with the following changes to the conditions. That we, on number 1, that we strike the use and for the use of automotive sales. That we add the condition that there shall be dry chemicals fire suppression in the painting booth area. And that we add the condition that there will be no greater than 30 vehicles stored at the site.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I will second that.
Okay. additional conditions that she just stated. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, there's no old business, no new business.
There is.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up, Southwest Planners Association, we meet October 16th and 17th. And we need a Gary tour, Brookings County. And I wanted to bring that up to you.
And if you want to attend, I'll pay for your registration. Let me know.
Do any of you go?
October 16th and 17th?
16th and the 17th.
Brookings?
I'll check my calendar, maybe.
Tour is gonna be on the 17th.
Okay, that's the day. Gotcha. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone.